Hello, Matt Boyle here, and really excited to be able to spend some time with you and hoping that what I'm about to go through is going to be either the whole solution of exactly what you're looking for, give you some insights that might be able to help you do what you're already doing better. But really what I want to be able to show you is exactly how you can start getting a better return on your marketing investment, scale your revenues, grow your business, and actually be involved in changing lives and impacting communities. Because I firmly believe that as business owners, we can make a profit and make a difference at the same time. And it's something I've found that the more that I've shifted my business towards impacting others through what we do at O2O and how we're creating jobs and employment centres in communities that really need them, that the more profit we make in our business, and the more profit we make in our business, the more impact we can have as this great cycle that everyone that joins our community and everyone that gets involved is actually benefiting from being able to focus on helping others and helping ourselves at the same time. So really hope that I've got some value here for you, and what we're going to go through is going to sort of give you some of the breakthroughs and the insights you need to be able to take your business from where it is, take your business from where it is, take it to another level. And regardless of whether we could actually got now, in the future, or even never, I'm really, really glad you're spending some time to have a look at this, and really hope that there's something in here that you can take away from it to get there. Because when people come to me, the number one problem that people come and say is, I just want a marketing initiative that gives consistent growth profitably. I'm yet to find a business owner that does not want to spend money on marketing. But everyone that comes to me has spent money on marketing. They have spent time. They have followed all of the strategies that people recommend, and they've at best given them an inconsistent result, or at worst, actually given them no results, and they've wasted a lot of time and a lot of money, and they just want to know that if they're going to go start investing some money in marketing, that money is going to come back with friends so they can put that back into their business and continue to grow it. And what I want to share with you today, some of the reasons why some of the marketing you're doing may not be as effective and working as it is. And I want to give you a framework and a simple sort of process that at a very high level that you can sort of take and add the details down below that can show you exactly how to start measuring your marketing, start scaling your marketing, start systemizing your marketing, so you can get a much better return on investment. So people that come to me are facing many challenges, but these are the most common ones. They have prospects that don't know that they have a problem. They're sitting in this state of blissful ignorance, and then they don't know that they have a problem. But they also don't know that a solution like yours exists. And because of that, they aren't actively seeking company and services, and they're not out there on Google trying to find the right solution to the problem that they don't know exists. The other problems is they have a very small niche of ideal prospects. It's a very sort of select sort of group of people, very limited into who they can help and how they can provide benefit. The other ones is they have a relationship or an account-based sale that is a very trusting. It's a process that's forged over many contacts. And it's the relationship first, not the sale. And often they can't easily define the value that they add in tangible outcomes. It's, they have services they might be doing corporate training and leadership training, which it's hard. It's easy to sort of talk about the problems, but then when it comes to pricing, it becomes quite hard to sort of show the tangible benefits and that kind of stuff. The other thing is there's a lot of inferior competition fighting for the attentions of the prospects. That's often they're getting into price battles with people that are doing half the job and trying to claim that they're doing the whole job, and all that kind of stuff. The other big challenge is they don't have a lot of time to market and sell their services consistently. They go through these sort of feast and famines, or the roller coaster of the ups and downs, and they just don't have the time to do everything consistently. Or finally, they have a complex sales process, which does require sort of an intimate product knowledge, market experience. There's often multiple sort of layers of decision makers that need to go through, and it's a process that can take many months from starting of the sale before they actually close the sale and go win the business and get paid. And some of these challenges here, they're not easily solved, but the framework that I want to go through and the system that I'm going to sort of walk you through today is certainly something that can help you create the solution over a very short period of time, test the solution, and then be able to sort of scale it. So a lot of people that come to us, some of the things they've tried is they've attended a lot of networking events hoping to find someone wanting their solution. They go through that sort of feast and famine where they go and they have no clients, so they go out there and they do some marketing, they get some results, they get the clients, then they stop the marketing because they can't take any more work. They go do the work, they get to the end of the projects or the engagements, and they finish that. Then all of a sudden they realise, oh shoot, I've got no clients, I need some more money, so then they go back to the beginning again. The other thing is they're often relying on referrals and personal contacts, and they're waiting for people to leave their current roles and move on to the next one to be able to re-engage, and they just follow the same batch of contacts from company to company to company. But they also invest a lot of time into creating content that no one reads. They are following a lot of the sort of the public and the sort of called the socially acceptable sort of marketing strategies of creating content, creating videos on LinkedIn and Facebook, and engaging and trying to build value, and no one's reading it, no one's paying attention to it, or people are reading it and no one's actually following through, and none of it's turning into any returns. So the reality is that if whatever you're doing isn't generating you the growth that you'd expect, then either your strategy is wrong or your execution is ineffective. And I don't want to be overly blunt, but that's it. If you're spending money on marketing and it's not coming back with friends in sales, then either you're spending it in the wrong places, or you're missing key steps and you're not executing the steps effectively enough, and you're not getting you're not getting the results. And what I want to give you today is a framework and a structure of how you can change this. So every dollar you spend on marketing, comes back with friends, with interest, quickly, predictably, and profitably. So some of the symptoms of an ineffective marketing strategy is if you're not generating leads consistently. There's multiple steps over multiple months, but often if you're spending money on marketing and the leads that aren't coming, you're not getting enough leads in, that's a symptom that the strategy is ineffective. The other symptom is that the leads that you're generating aren't converting. So many times I hear people that running campaigns and they say, look, we're getting 500 opt-ins, but none of them have actually converted to sales, and they may have spent $5,000 or $6,000 on marketing, and yeah, they've got 500 opt-ins, they've got an email database, they've got people that are reading their content, they've got fans, they've got followers, but none of those leads and opportunities aren't actually converting into sales. And because of that, then their marketing costs are a lot higher. They're spending a lot more money to get a lead. They're then not converting those leads into sales, so they're getting a poor return on the investment. And that leads to that roller coaster ride of inconsistent action and results that they go up and down. None of that is effective. None of that is what you need. None of that's going to allow you to grow your business, is it? So the question I want to ask you, is it possible that there could be a more effective strategy to what you're doing right now, which is going to deliver you consistent growth and a better results? And the answer that I'm going to sort of say is no matter what you're doing, the answer is yes, because there is a simple system which can deliver you ideal, high-paying clients easily, profitably, and sustainably. And even if what you're doing right now is working, then there's absolutely a way that we can either double down on what you're doing to give you an even better result, to systemize what you're doing so you can get the same results in half the amount of time, or to take what you're doing that's already working and make it work twice or three times as effective just by following the same process. So I'm really excited to go through that with you. Regardless of what it is you sell, who you sell it to, how you sell it, with the right combination of steps, you can easily attract, engage, qualify, and convert your ideal deal clients. And I call this the strategic outbound marketing. And the big part of this that I really want to stress to you is with these steps here, there's certain steps that we can automate for you. There's certain steps that can be outsourced, and there's certain steps that you're going to have to do yourself, or you're going to have to get your team to do. The key to making all of this strategy work is knowing what steps can you outsource, what steps can you automate, what steps do you need to do, and how can you measure the whole thing to be able to have the system in place first, and then the people behind that to be able to manage the system. So some of the benefits of the strategic outbound marketing that we're talking about here is it does result in a very low cost campaign, that when you have the right combination of steps, your cost of lead can drop down dramatically. Your cost of acquisition for acquiring a new client can drop down dramatically. I acquire new clients and it cost me as a hard marketing cost between $50 and $100 to generate clients that are worth between $10,000 and $500,000 a year. for our business. So really low cost, it's easily scalable because you're relying on systems first, people second. It means you can grow from wherever you are to 2xing, 3xing, 4xing, 5xing your returns very, very quickly. It's measurable. Every step, you can measure the time, you can measure the investment, you can measure the return. So therefore you can make things very, very predictable. And when you have the quick feedback loops, you don't need to wait many months to know whether something's working. You can be running campaigns and knowing in a matter of days whether it's delivered you the results you need or whether you need to make some changes. And because this is targeted at your ideal group of prospects, and we really hone in on exactly who it is that you can help, it's going to give you a high return on investment. So there's lots of benefits for what we're talking about here, but there is also some downsides and some challenges that need to be overcome for it to be effective for you. There is a lot of repetitive tasks that need to be done consistently to get the results. It's simple steps, but it needs to be repeated daily or weekly at a high enough volume to be effective for you. And if it's done wrong, there can be a lot of rejection. But it's also a thing that with these type of campaigns, it's not for everyone. And one of the actual measures that I have in my own business is the number of complaints that I get, that I actually embrace finding people that will find cause to complain. Now, I don't go out of my way to annoy anyone. I don't want to do anything that's disrespectful. And if I get a complaint, I do deal with it sort of immediately and effectively, and I make sure that we listen to their feedback and make the appropriate changes. But I do know that as part of what we're doing, if I'm not getting anyone complaining, I'm also not getting anyone that's. But the other challenge here that it does actually need to integrate closely within your sales processes to be effective. One of the biggest things that cost businesses money when it comes to getting a return on their marketing investment is there is a big gap between their marketing and their sales. So the marketing does one thing and it has a different message, different narrative. They don't really understand where they're bringing the leads in as far as where they sit in their buyer's journey. And then the leads fall down a chasm and then eventually they're picked up by the sales team. For these type of strategies to work effectively, you need to be looking at marketing and sales in the same breath and looking at that bridge and the handover of when you're handing leads over to the sales team, how you're handing them over, what information you're giving to them, and being able to measure that effectively. And also the big part of this is these processes aren't suitable for every business. There's certainly a lot of businesses where it is effective and a lot of businesses where it can give you some amazing returns, but then there's some businesses where it's just never going to work. And typically the way that I would sort of suggest that and the outgo is if you can find lists and pools of your ideal prospects easily, and we can target them without them having a sort of opt-in, these campaigns can work really effectively for you. If your product or your service, you need to wait for them to be interested before you can really find them. That's where what we've got here is going to be less effective for you, but there's still going to be some value, and keep watching. These are the 4 key ingredients that I put into every single marketing and sales strategy that we do. And these ingredients work no matter what it is you're selling, how you're selling it, and who you're selling it to. And it starts with that sales process engineering. That the first step to be able to give you a more effective return on your marketing investment is to actually sit back and engineer your process from start to finish. We want to look at the key steps that need to happen, the key decisions that your prospect needs to make to be able to buy, and what is going to be the most effective way for you to be able to do that from that. And this is something that a lot of people don't do, that they just go out there and do some marketing, they generate some leads, and they have no idea what to do with the leads from there. So they generate the leads, nothing comes back. And the stats are as many as 60% of leads that are generated for businesses across the United States are never actually contacted by the business. So basically, by understanding your whole process from start to finish, that in itself is probably going to be able to double your returns. But then there's the next step, which is actually creating some lead filters. And I'll talk about more about this in a minute, but this is one of the critical sort of steps in understanding that not all leads are created equal. You've got to look at the most qualified leads down to the least qualified leads, so you can make sure you're allocating your processes and allocating your times with the leads that are going to be most likely to give you the return. One of the big mistakes that I see a lot of businesses make with their marketing is they have the same standard follow-up process for for everything. And what that does is they end up getting very jaded by the whole process. So then they stop doing the work effectively because they're spending all the time talking to unqualified prospects. But through that, they then miss the qualified prospects. They miss the goal because they've just either given up on the process or they don't follow the process correctly. So creating some lead filters is really critical, and being able to have different processes for each of those sort of filters and having some clear definitions becomes really beneficial. And I'll show you how easy that is in a minute. But then the next step is actually having some feedback loops. And again, we'll sort of unpack this in a bit more detail for you. But one of the things you want to be really clear on whenever you're doing some marketing is what's working, what's not working. So by having these feedback loops where you start to know what's happening intimately and get feedback from every step in the process, allows you to have a much better insight into exactly what's going on, be able to know if it's not delivering you the returns you want, where it's actually falling down, and what you can do to fix it. And then through those feedback loops, that's when you can performance manage the process and all the people involved to be able to keep making the necessary adjustments to get the results you want. And when you follow these 4 key steps through here, no matter where you're starting from, you can turn an ineffective marketing campaign into something that's really effective and giving you the measurable returns, the scalable results, and a profitable campaign in a very, very quick timeline. The main thing that we want to talk about in the sales process is there's always going to be 4 key stages. And again, these stages are going to be slightly different based on what your business actually is. And that I'll really want to stick to the high level detail right now, but we can certainly unpack this in more detail. But really, you need to have processes that are going to be consistently attracting your ideal prospects. Then you need to find strategies to be able to engage them in the conversations, qualify them into the opportunity to see what standard lead they're at, and then based on whether they're qualified, be able to convert them into clients. And again, every business is going to be different. Some of these steps have to be done manually. Some of these steps have to be automated. And again, the level that we go into to be able to do that varies greatly from business to business. But they all need to go through these sort of 4 steps, and we need to have clear processes for each one of those steps. And when you have that, we then start to move into understanding how the leads that are coming in. So often people that come to me, when I'm looking at campaigns, we get different types of leads, of people that say, hey, send me the info, let's discuss the opportunities, talk to me in 6 months, or I haven't got the budget right now. But then you're going to get the ones that say, I have a problem and I want it solved now. So your processes after the qualification on how to convert need to be able to filter these 5 different types of leads and put them into the different buckets or the different systems, so you know that you're focusing on the one lead that has a problem and wants it solved now, but you're not ignoring the other 4. And how you do that is by lead filtering. And there's the really simple way to look at this is there is 3 standards of leads: your least qualified leads up to your most qualified leads. And I call them gold, silver, and bronze. Now, as a business owner or a salesperson, you want to be spending your time with fully qualified gold leads. They're the ones that have met all of your qualifying criteria, that have the desire to make a purchase decision, they have the ability to make a purchase decision, they have the capacity to pay for it, they have problems that you can solve, and you know you can solve them. If you can fill your calendar with gold leads, that's going to be fantastic. But there's going to be 2 other bigger groups of leads that are partially qualified, that might not meet all of that criteria just yet, or might only meet 1 or 2 of those criteria. And by being able to sort of set different filtering systems, you can actually then still make sure you're focusing on the fully qualified leads, but you're taking advantage of automation. You're taking advantage of systems and other people's time to be able to follow up on the least qualified and the partially qualified leads, so they actually ultimately turn into gold, ultimately go from a silver lead, bronze lead, to a silver lead, to a gold lead. And when you have the right systems in place for each, and the right sort of checks in place for each of the right standards, this process can actually be really quite simple and super, super effective. And that's something that we certainly sort of help with a lot. And I want to show you some different types of strategies and a sort of a bit of a template that you can use to follow up through for that. So when you have all of these systems in place, the feedback loops are really important. And there's 6 key sort of areas within the feedback loop that you need to sort of be able to measure and manage and use to help ultimately improve the performance of your campaign. We need to have a look at what activities are actually getting done. And that's through the whole sort of process. So what are the activities done to generate the leads? What are the activities done to be able to sort of follow up with the leads, qualify the leads, convert the leads? And that we need to look at that from that top, bum in seat, time on ground, how much time and what's actually getting done to be able to sort of generate that, how much money's been spent, how much time's been spent. But then we also need to look at what results have they got. So we've done all these work. Have we done enough effort in? The answer is yes. Now we need to go, right, have they delivered the results that we want? So how many leads have been generated? How many gold, silver, bronze leads have happened? How many sales have been generated? How much income will be generated? So you can know at a picture how much time and money you've spent and how much income you've. And then we can look at that with benchmarking every step compared to what we expect to happen. So we don't just look at, well, we spent 10 grand, we want 50 grand back in income. It's no, we've spent 10 grand, we've connected with 1,000 people on LinkedIn, we've sent 500 direct mail packages, we've sent, made 500 phone calls, or whatever the series of processes are that we've done. We've done those, that's generated us 50 leads. Out of those 50 leads, we've got 10 gold, 15 silver, 25 bronze, and out of those golds, that's turned into 5 sales, and we've made 50 grand. And we want to benchmark each one of those steps against our expectations to know whether it's working or not. Because when we look at it from that picture and you're looking at the whole step, if the campaign's not delivering you the returns that you want, you can actually stop, have a look, and be able to see really easily what part of the process is broken down. Because then when you combine that with your performance reviews of your team and performance reviews of the system, you can know whether we need to spend some more time training someone to be able to do their tasks better and their job more effectively, or whether we actually need to go and improve the system. Because when you have these feedback loops really dialed in, there's only ever 2 reasons why your campaign's not delivering you the results. You're not doing enough of the right work, and the work you're doing is not delivering you the results. And when you start to have a look at why the work you're doing is not getting you the results, it's either because someone's not doing it well enough and we need to spend some more time to train them, or the work that they're doing, the strategy, the system, the copy, the approach isn't actually effective enough, and we need to go make some changes there. And this may seem like a lot and it may seem complicated, but when you actually piece it all together, once it's out, it's really simple. You can actually have these feedback loops that in 2 or 3 minutes a day, you can be managing this whole process and know that it's all working well, and know if you need to invest some more time to dig into to be able to resolve it. And it's actually something that if you're looking at having someone else help manage this, we've actually got teams that can manage this whole process for you and just give you the reports, the feedback, and the changes that we've made, so you can be more hands-off as well. So this is just a very basic template of a really effective marketing strategy. Now this strategy here is constantly designed to give you a constant flow of new leads by continually engaging and building new connections whilst establishing relationships, credibility, and trust with existing networks, existing connections, and the like. So you're constantly getting fed from expanding your network and prospect base, but also cultivating the relationships you get. So we use this exact sort of template to manage anything from franchise sales. We've got franchise groups that have over 300 franchises that we are both using this sort of template to be able to sell their new franchises, as well as being able to sell the services to their existing there. We have management consultants and trainers that have several $100,000 enterprise solutions that we go to. We've got it for recruitment companies, for probably about 60 different B2B specific industries, and a few select sort of B2C industries that we can still find the right people effectively. So it's a really simple process that we use LinkedIn to create lists of targeted prospects. And then we send out a particular number of connection requests per day. And when those people become a connection, we're going to send out an initial engagement. Nothing complex, nothing complex, nothing that you probably haven't seen 1,000 times before. But this is where it starts to get a little bit different. That initial engagement is either going to turn into a gold, a silver, or a bronze lead based on the criteria that we define and you define for your business. The gold lead goes straight into active selling. Now, typically 1 to 2% of people that we connect are going to go straight into a gold lead. So a very small number. You're going to get a next number through of silver leads, which are people that are interested but might not be the right timing for them, or they might have different layers of management to go through. There's a number of reasons where they might be interested, but they're not interested just yet. And then we're going to have a quarterly engagement and nurture cycle where, again, you can look at how to do this for your business. This could be anything from just a quarterly direct mail campaign where every quarter they get a direct mail, they get a phone call, they get an email, or you invite them along to a quarterly networking event or a quarterly education event, or something. Create a new education video for them once a quarter. There's something that goes out to them every sort of 3 months that is designed to engage them, designed to nurture them, designed to help establish a more deeper rapport with them, help to build a relationship, give them value, establish your credibility. So some of them, when the time's right for them, will go from a silver lead up to a gold lead. And then the third cycle is those bronze leads, which are the least qualified ones, which they're just going to see your content. They're just going to see some online engagement. We're going to keep out of their face, not get too much in there, but keep putting stuff in front of them and giving them opportunities to turn into silver leads. And you need to have processes for all three. So you need to have that active selling, which is the ones we want now. That's where the returns are going to come quickly. But what we also need to be able to do is then start looking at that quarterly cycle of how could you keep remarketing to them? How can you keep doing that in a way that is going to build your brand, build your business, establish more credibility, build more rapport, without upsetting and offending people. We don't want to be spammers and just relying on messages and that kind of garbage. So it needs to be strategic. It needs to be done consistently. And then the same as with those bronze leads of how can we make sure there's enough content in front of them that they can go through. And that process, and by constantly filling all three buckets, with the bronze bucket filling, then also filling the silver, and the silver also filling the gold, this is where you start to get the sustainable growth, the sustainable sales, and the sustainable increase in sales that what you're really looking for. And as you can see, you can take this framework and apply it to things other than LinkedIn. You could use this with an inbound Facebook strategy, the same lead filtering type of system, but it is always much more effective when you're using it with an outbound type of strategy to be able to get the best results. So there's really only 4 reasons. If you commit to this process, again, whether you're doing it by yourself or getting our help or getting someone else's help, does not matter. There's only ever going to be 4 steps and 4 reasons why this will not get you the results. The first one is if you're not doing the work. It's just a simple energy in, energy out formula. If you're not putting data in and you're not committing the time regularly, it ain't going to work for you. Simple as that. But if you are putting the results in and the work in, but you're not measuring progress and not measuring activities and measuring results, it's also not going to work with you, because what you'll find is you're spending days, weeks, months and time and energy and money heading down a path that's never going to get you the results, and you're not looking at that. So you can't then go to the third reason, which is you're not making course corrections. Because one of the things you'll hear me say quite regularly is, I can't help you build momentum that is based on you doing the activities or you paying someone to do the activities. But once you start getting momentum, I can help shape direction by looking at the feedback loops and the lead measures. And that's the critical part, is whenever you start this, what you start with and what you finish up with is often 2 completely different things. As long as you have the feedback loops of what's working and what's not working, you can be constantly making those sort of course corrections and changes. And then the final thing is, if you're not following the process, if you're doing step 1, step 2, step 10, step 11, and you're missing everything in between, you ain't going to get the results. It is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Every step there is there for a reason. It's there because it's needed. And either you need to be doing it, you need to be getting someone else doing it, or you need to be automating it. But regardless of how it's done, it has to be done. The process has to be followed. Otherwise, the results will not work. So that's the 4 reasons why it's going to fail. So hopefully I've been able to give you some value, give you some insights, and really give you the big picture of how you can build a systematic approach to growing and scaling your revenues and doing. So how can we actually help you take this from a great idea and turn it into practice? Well, there's really 3 key steps. The first step is everything we've sort of spoken about. We need to unpack that in more detail and to be able to build you this system that's going to work for your business. We need to look at what are the right steps to be able to attract your ideal prospects, to be able to engage with them, be able to qualify them and convert them. And that's the first step. And when we're doing that, we want to look at the history of success. So we want to look at what's already working and unpack it and then add the necessary details. There's no point reinventing the wheel. We need to be able to take what already works, combine it with what I know already works, mix it in with what you know works, put it together and build you a machine that is going to be able to work and give you the results you want. When we do that, we're going to be looking at what are the tasks that we can automate, what are the tasks that we can outsource. And when we get into that next thing, if you need the resources, we can help you with that. And I will talk to you about our business development center and what we're really doing behind the scenes with that. But we have the team, we have the people power that can do all of the work, are trained in our methodology, they're trained to follow systems, they can deliver a really, really good results. But we've also got teams in the United States, in Australia, in Canada that can do some of, say, the voice-related tasks of telemarketing or qualifying. We've got local resources as well as offshore resources that can do it. There's obviously cost differences between them and there's value differences. So there's some applications where we can absolutely rely on the offshore guys to do the telemarketing and absolutely nail it. There's other times where it's just not going to work and we need to find someone locally. We can help you put all that together and build that team that you need and give them all the tools that they need to be and the training to be able to follow the processes that we've built. And then the final thing is to be able to manage the whole process for you. So we can actually take an element of responsibility over the end result and getting you the returns, and we can be managing it on a daily and weekly basis to be able to help you get the best results out of it. So that's how we can help, and I'll be really excited to sort of talk further and unpack what we do and uncover more about what you do and see how we can bridge them together. So what I'd love to be able to invite you to do now is to just book a no obligation discovery call. No pressure, no garbage, no strategies. I just want to get to know more about you. I want to get you to know more about me. I want to be able to answer any of your questions, uncover more about what's worked for you in the past and what needs you have with getting a better return out of your marketing investment. And if there's an opportunity to explore things further, then we can absolutely do it. If there's not, then I just appreciate making a good connection. So book it now. Let's have a chat. Really excited to share these insights with you and hope it's been valuable. So this is Matt Boyle. Thanks again. Look forward to talking to you again soon.